No drama.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the County Council meeting of Monday, October 23rd. Would you take attendance for us, please?
Councilmember Reeds,
Here.
Councilmember Tabernick,
Present.
Councilmember Bartholomew, absent. Councilmember Brown,
Here.
Councilmember Cunningham,
Present.
Councilmember Dawson, Councilmember Glover,
Here.
Councilmember Howard,
Here.
Councilmember Lawson,
Mark Lawson here.
Vice Chairman McGillen is absent. Chairman Passament,
Present.
you have a quorum.
Thank you. Would you all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing for the invocation, which will be done by Councilwoman Tabernick. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Holy Father, we thank you for always being present in our lives and for our many blessings. We pray for your oversight of this council meeting tonight. Give council members wisdom and guidance as we deliberate on the items before us. May every decision we make be righteous in your sight, for the benefit of our community, for your glory, and in service to our residents. You know best, and we pray for your will to be done. We ask these things in your name. Amen. Amen.
Public notification of this meeting has been published, posted, and distributed in compliance with the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act. I would ask a member of council to make a motion to approve and second tonight's agenda.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Cunningham makes the motion.
I'll
May I?
second that.
And Mr. Lawson makes the second. Duly motioned and seconded. Are there any objections? I see no objections. The agenda is approved. Next is the approval of minutes from September 11th, the first meeting which was held at 11 a.m., September 11th, the second meeting was held at 1 p.m., and September 11th, the third meeting which was held at 5 p.m. Motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Ms. Howard makes the motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Lawson makes the second. Duly motioned and seconded. Any questions or concerns? Seeing none, the minutes will be approved without objection, and I see no objections. Next is our interim county administrator report. Mr. Robinson.
Good evening, Chairman and Council. I'd like to start with a letter of appreciation we received from for our stormwater department. This letter came from Councilman York Glover on behalf of his constituents. So in the letter, he describes a thank you to our stormwater department for some drainage work they completed on Eternity Lane. This was a large drainage project, which they completed some drainage work on the eastern side of the road. And they have some more work to do on the western side of the road. But the community wanted to share their appreciation and their thanks for our stormwater department. They're a busy group of folks who have a lot of work to do, and it's always great when the community says thank you. So again, Mr. Glover, thank you for representing your constituents and recognizing the stormwater department. We appreciate that.
Sincerely thank them, really.
Thank you.
I can tell you, basically in the letter, it talked about drainage, and the moving of water, and after a major hurricane we had recently, it moved.
Absolutely. Well, that's a good thing.
Yes, sir.
They're a
Thank you.
busy group to keep a lot of our public drainage and stormwater moving properly. Thank you so much. Next item I want to tell you about is a grant that I accepted on behalf of Beaufort County. So in our budget ordinance, section 16 authorizes the administrator to accept grants which do not require matching funds or those to which funds have been appropriated. So this grant is a South Carolina DHEC grant. It's an EMS GIA grant. It's a grant in aid. This grant was, it's $15,886, which has a split between Beaufort County EMS and the other EMS provider, which is Hilton Head Fire Rescue. The grant is split is based on the proportion of responses that they go to. There's a 5.5% matching funds for the grant, which is appropriated in their budget. So the amount of the grant that Beaufort County will receive is $12,000, and our match for that is $660. So we got a pretty good bang for our buck there. Beaufort County EMS intends to use about $2,500 of those funds for public education, and the other $9,500 to purchase some portable Doppler devices. So this is a portable ultrasound device that EMS or paramedics in the field can use to aid in locating some internal injuries, as well as help them with placement of non-invasive of devices. A non-invasive way of seeing what's going on inside the body. So I think it's a really good grant. It's a lot of money for next to nothing for us. And, it gives our paramedics in the field just another tool to use. All right, now I have a few of our staff members to recognize. First tonight is Mr. Bill Love. Bill here? Yeah, come on up, sir. Right here. So William is the executive director of DSN. DSN is our Disabilities and Special Needs Department. He has worked for Beaufort County for about 15 years and served as the executive director for the last 8 years. He is responsible for the overall management, operations, and strategic direction of the department. He has 113 DSN staff members that serve more than 1,000 individuals, as well as their families and other caregivers. Beaufort County DSN provides services to residents who experience life with a wide range of disabilities, such as autism, cerebral palsy, spina bifida, and Down syndrome. DSN helps these residents to live independently and meaningfully. Some programs they offer include early intervention for young children, day programs for adults, residential living, supervised independent living, employment opportunities, respite care for their caregivers, and summer camping experience. Services are monitored by the South Carolina Department of Special Disabilities and Special Needs and the federal government's Department of Health and Human Services. The outstanding staff under the direction of Mr. Love are committed to providing excellent services and support. Some unique things about our director is he is an avid reader. He takes weekly piano and Spanish lessons and strongly believes that everyone can make a positive difference in someone else's life. Perhaps the most interesting thing about Bill is that he spent 30 years in prison. Not as an inmate, but as a counselor. So I'm sure of all those years of counseling, he has experienced many, many things.
Thank you very much. I was the deputy secretary. Thank you. I was the deputy secretary for criminal justice under the Governor Tom Rich. I love what I do, love it a lot. I have a situation where we touch people's lives, and in reverse, they touch ours. We make a difference. You make a difference. Audrey is going to be a little uncomfortable with me saying this, but under her direction and leadership, we can feel a positive difference. We can see changes, and I really, really appreciate what she does for us. I also appreciate you. The Beaufort County DSN is recognized as the flagship of providers in the state. It's because of the commitment from the county, and I appreciate that very much. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to let Mr. Love know that I got your date of the 5th of December. I'll be at your meeting, man.
All right, our next employee to recognize is Stuart Forrest. All right. Stuart is an IT analyst. He has worked for Beaufort County for almost 15 years, almost 12 years with the library, and 3 years as in computer systems specialist, 3 years as an IT analyst. Stewart looks after and troubleshoots the library's online catalog system. No more Dewey Decimal System, right? That's what I remember from a kid, the big file cabinets full of cards. So Stewart manages and troubleshoots the library's online catalog and the library's management system. The library recently moved to a new system, as Stewart manages the configuration of that system as well. He manages our SharePoint 2020-2010 maintenance and troubleshooting program. And SharePoint is a system that we use internally for staff documents, and we probably use it every day. I do anyway, quite frequently. So something unique is Stewart loves cooking and traveling. Stewart?
I'd just like to say thank you very much for the recognition. I do appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Next is a very special person from Beaufort County Detention Center, Miss Azetta Gibbs. So Mrs. Gibbs is responsible for a broad spectrum of services for the detention center. She supports inmate rehabilitation as well as well-being, including overseeing of several rehabilitation programs for inmates, drug and alcohol counseling, adult education, Bible study, job skills, vocational rehabilitation. She manages a girls' circle, coordinates with outside treatment agencies on behalf of inmates. Her remarkable contributions to Beaufort County Detention Center are a testament to her unwavering dedication. She works directly with inmates, taking on responsibilities which often require a high degree of compassion and professionalism. Ms. Gibbs fosters positive relationships with numerous volunteer agencies and maintains open lines of communication with staff. Something unique about her, she is a licensed clergy. She dedicates her spare time to volunteering at Beaufort Memorial Hospital as an assistant chaplain. She enjoys taking 5-mile walks. I should probably come with you once in a while. Yeah. She conducts workshops at her church, helps with youth events, and enjoys seafood. Mrs. Gibbs?
Thank you. Thank you for the appreciation. And I just want to say I truly enjoy my job. It's a part of my calling, and that is to work and to assist others that need support. And the inmates need lots of support. And I want to thank Colonel Grant and Major Robertson for allowing me to be a part of the BCDC family. And thank you all as well.
Sir, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Excuse me. Our next three items are proclamations. The first one is a presentation to the young Marines recognizing Red Ribbon Week. And I'm going to ask Councilwoman Howard to do that because Councilwoman Howard was on Marine Corps Air Station for a number of years.
She's not a Marine, though.
Have any representative here? Any young people here? I guess I'll just read it.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
And I see these young Marines volunteering at lots of events throughout the community. Whereas communities across America have been plagued by numerous problems associated with illicit drug use and those that traffic in them, and whereas there is hope in winning the war on drugs, and that hope lies in education and drug demand reduction, coupled with the hard work and determination of organizations such as the Young Marines of the Marine Corps League, whereas one of the pillars of the Young Marine program is to lead positive drug-free lifestyles and to educate and encourage others to do the same. And whereas Young Marine units are mandated to teach a standardized curriculum that focuses on gateway drugs, but also stays current with drugs that affect our youth. And whereas young Marines participate year-round in community projects and events that focus on reducing and eliminating drug use by our youth. And whereas governments and community leaders know that citizen support is one of the most effective tools in the effort to reduce the use of illicit drugs in our communities. And whereas the red ribbon has been chosen as a symbol commemorating the work of Arikiki Camarena, I can't pronounce it as well as Larry could, but who he knew, a Drug Enforcement Administration agent who was murdered in the line of duty and represents the belief that one person can make a difference. And whereas the Red Ribbon Campaign was established by Congress in 1988 to encourage a drug-free lifestyle and involvement in drug prevention and reduction efforts. And whereas October 23rd through the 31st has been designated National Red Ribbon Week, which encourages Americans to wear a red ribbon to show their support for a drug-free environment. Therefore, it be resolved that Beaufort County Council recognizes the young Marines during Red Ribbon Week for their efforts in educating the youth all year long through various events and community projects. Dated the 23rd day of October 2023, signed by Joseph Passament, Chairman. And maybe Audra could come up here for the picture.
They will be here, they're just
Oh.
running behind.
Okay.
So she will speak at the last citizen comment.
Okay. All right, we'll get a picture of that when they get here.
Oh, we stuck in traffic.
Yep. Our second proclamation is presented to the Community Services Beaufort County Alcohol and Drug Abuse Division recognizing Red Ribbon Week. Is there anyone there? Okay, would you please come forward while I read the proclamation? Get my glasses. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Whereas alcohol and drug abuse affect individuals, families, and communities across the nation, and whereas it is imperative that visible, unified efforts by community members be launched to prevent drug abuse, and whereas there is hope in winning the war on drugs, and that the hope lies in education and drug demand reduction, coupled with the hard work and determination of organizations such as the Beaufort County Alcohol and Drug Abuse Prevention Department, to foster a healthy, drug-free lifestyle. And whereas governments and community leaders know that citizen support is one of the most effective tools in the effort to reduce the use of illicit drugs and other drug misuse in our communities. And whereas the red ribbon has been chosen as a symbol commemorating the work of Enrique Camarena, a Drug Enforcement Administration agent who was murdered in the line of duty and represents the belief that one person can make a difference. And whereas the Red Ribbon Campaign was established by Congress in 1988 to encourage a drug-free lifestyle and involvement in drug prevention and misuse reduction efforts. And whereas October 23rd through the 31st has been designated National Red Ribbon Week, which encourages Americans to wear a red ribbon to show their support for a drug-free environment. Now therefore be it resolved that Beaufort County Council hereby proclaims October 23rd through the 31st, 2023, and encourages citizens of Beaufort County to participate in drug prevention education activities, not only during Red Ribbon Week, but also throughout the year, making a visible statement that we're strongly committed to a drug-free lifestyle. Signed this day by myself as Chairman of Beaufort County Council. Please.
I'm Wade Bishop. I'm the Director of Prevention Services for Beaufort County Alcohol and Drug Abuse Department. And with your Councilman Larry McGowan not being available this evening, I know I would be remiss in not, on his behalf, indicating that we're having the DEA Take Back Meds event in both Beaufort and Bluffton this coming Saturday morning from 10 to 1 in conjunction and co-sponsorship with our Sheriff's Department. So I know that that's something that's plays on his mind as far as Red Ribbon, but also the community coming together and disposing of drugs, unused, unwanted, outdated medications, and doing it properly. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Katie Godowns. I'm a senior preventionist with drug and alcohol. I've been here about 11 years, and I'm grateful to get to do what I do for a living. So thank you for having me.
I'm Galen Starkamo. I'm one of the other preventionists working for Beaufort County Alcohol and Drug Abuse Department. I serve south of the Broad River, mainly Hilton Head, Bluffton. I've been working for Beaufort County Alcohol and Drug Abuse Department for 4 years of my life, and I'm happy to give 30 more if they'll have me.
Congratulations.
I'll tell you, it is. It should be acknowledged.
Did you all bring some red ribbons?
Thank you.
Did you guys bring some red ribbons for us? When I was in schools, we passed them out to everyone during the week.
I didn't go make them earlier. I'm sorry.
Okay. Gotta have red ribbons.
Our final proclamation tonight is recognizing the Penn Center's 39th Annual Heritage Day celebration. Mr. Glover will read that proclamation.
I will, and I don't want to put you on the spot, Hernandez, but would you say this on behalf of Penn Center? Wait, you would? Hopefully you can. How you doing?
Good, and yourself, sir?
Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay. Okay. This is on, hey, okay, I got more than, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. This proclamation is done for the 39th anniversary celebration of Penn Center Heritage Day. It reads, whereas the idea of a Penn Center Heritage Day celebration was born in August of 1981 because many individuals and institutions of Beaufort County's Sea Islands have been touched by the activities of Penn Center, now Penn School, now Penn Center, and because Penn Center has been instrumental in preserving and strengthening the Sea Island culture, and whereas Penn Center Heritage Days has become a significant event drawing more than 12,000 visitors, and whereas Penn Center Heritage Day celebration is an effort to expose the public to Penn Center, Sea Islands history and culture, and various African traditions that continue today. And whereas Penn Center Heritage Days celebration has grown from a one-day event to 3 days of festive songs, food, performance, and exhibits. And whereas in 1983, the Heritage Day Parade from St. Helena Elementary School to the Penn Center Historical Landmark District was established, and whereas the theme for this year is honoring our past, inspiring our future, standing for justice, and celebrating the legacy of St. Helena's own Sam Doyle. And whereas Sam Doyle was born in 1906 in Wallace Plantation on St. Helena Island, South Carolina, and passed away in 1985 in Beaufort, South Carolina, and whereas Sam Doyle attended the Penn Center School, and despite his artistic talent, he dropped out of school in 9th grade to find work, and whereas after retiring and dedicating himself to painting in the 1970s, Sam Doyle came to national attention with the Black folk art in America, 1930 through 1980, exhibiting in 1982, and whereas Sam Doyle is known for his painting on pieces of roof tins, painted mostly in enamel house paint, depicting accomplishments of the first Black doctor, policeman, or embalmer. Now therefore be it resolved, Beaufort County Council proclaimed November the 9th through November the 11th as Penn Center 39th Heritage Days Celebration Week, and this proclamation is signed by our chairman, Joseph Pasterman, of Beaufort County Council. Okay. All three of you want to say something? No? Come on, Mr. Hewitt.
On behalf of Penn Center, We say thank you, and we will acknowledge this. Thank you very much.
Part of the planning committee of Penn Center for the Heritage Day celebration. We do appreciate that the council of Beaufort and the city and the county of Beaufort allow us to have those 3 days.
I'd just like to say thank you on behalf of Penn Center.
Congratulations.
You gotta get your picture. Okay, thank you. No, you're gonna give it, yeah, okay.
Yeah, we'll give it.
Next item on our agenda is a presentation by the Coastal Community Development Corporation, known as the CCDC Workforce Housing Funding. It will be done by Mr. Alan Wolf, who is chairman of the CCDC and also president of the Surge Group Restaurant Group, and Carletta Frazier, program manager for the CCDC. Mr. Wolf, good evening.
Chairman Passman, thank you for the time. County Council, thank you. Carlita Frazier will not be joining. Football practice got changed. They're playing another week, fortunately, for her son, so I'll take over. Thank you. In September of last year, on Hilton Head, the Chimney Cove residents of 54 apartments were issued 30-day eviction notices by a national developer that wanted to put new townhomes there. And the community on Hilton Head and across the county was reminded of just how fragile the workforce housing market is in our area. Out of that crisis came a dialogue which sparked a vision, which is now turned to reality, which would be to purchase existing homes that are already for sale in the market with the intent of them being made available for our local workforce. Our approach combines local and regional banks providing mortgages on the villas and homes that we seek to purchase, along with altruistic investment from the community, from businesses and municipalities to create a truly comprehensive community approach. The Coastal Community Development Corporation, you can see our website listed on the screen above, was formed just in February. We received our nonprofit approval in May of this year, and we have a board of 7 community members, all unpaid, just working hard to solve this challenge for the community. We have experience including nonprofit administration on the board, finance, housing, tax credit programs, development, corporate, and real estate law, as well as entrepreneurship. And I'm joined by both Ken Campbell behind me and Mayor Lisa Salka, 2 of the 7 board members. So thank you for being here. We are on. There we go. Okay, so the mission that we are seeking to increase the availability of homes for our local and regional workforce, first by preserving existing housing, and secondly by redeveloping existing property, and lastly by developing new property to meet the demand of our region while serving the working residents. We have researched and implemented tools to ensure that our impact on workforce housing will be targeted towards the area median incomes from 50% all the way up to 150%. Excuse me, we are putting deed restrictions in place for 99 years on the units that we purchase. And the nonprofit will own the units and tie those to the AMIs for that long period of time. And we have developed an application process that has been approved for fair housing law standards that will prioritize workers who live and want to work in the community that they live in across Beaufort County. Our focus on long-term rentals and purchase options for our residents ties seamlessly to 2 of the top issues that we're facing, of course, growth management being the first and workforce housing the second. And in many instances, we'll be able to return short-term rentals, i.e. from the Airbnb market back to the long-term rental market. So why are we doing this? Simply, we believe that the resident quality of life is at risk across the Low Country due to the limited workforce housing available units. And we believe that having high quality, availability, and low-cost services is key for the residents, both our visitors and our local residents, to have a high quality of life. Thank you for funding the giant housing study back in 2017, which really framed up exactly the challenge we need in terms of the numbers of both for rent and for purchase units to serve the needs through 2027. This giant screen really highlights at the bottom what was recommended is over 5,000 rental units needed for Beaufort County by the year 2027. We firmly believe that development alone cannot solve that challenge, and we have an opportunity to to preserve a lot of those long-term housing units by keeping them in that market for a long period of time. So how we are doing this? We have put together a host of cost curve bending strategies to make this a sustainable and affordable option. The first is the property tax abatement. We learned this from the Greenville Housing Fund. The Beaufort Housing Authority has also taken advantage of the IRS Safe Harbor Law, which is also codified in the South Carolina legislation, which allows for property tax relief when units are purchased and kept between 50 and 120% of the area median incomes. We've sourced low-cost capital, primarily through altruistic investment. The members of our board have been fast at work on Hilton Head Island and across Bluffton and now into unincorporated Beaufort, generating support from altruistic investors that would invest with returns of up to 3% over a 10-year period to help finance the down payment capital that we need to purchase units. And then we've also sought out community investment and have had wonderful support from the Community Foundation of the Lowcountry. And we've been working with local and regional banks to secure mortgages, which would cover 60% of the value of the homes that we purchase. We're actively pursuing, of course, grants and donations, which will certainly bend the cost curve further, and will engage the nonprofit and the churches throughout the Lowcountry. On the local and state side, we have started to work through South Carolina Housing and are working on any available initiatives that we can tie into in terms of bonding or tax credit sourcing. And then lastly, when we first started this initiative just about 1 year ago, we weren't sure if this would be a for-profit or non-for-profit approach, but certainly the nonprofit approach was the final bend in the cost curve that we were after to make sure that this is as cheap for rentals as possible. We are pursuing a phased approach. The first one, we have presented an option to the town of Hilton Head Island. We've asked for their support in purchasing 13 units of condos and villas that are already for sale on Hilton Head. And thanks to the work of one board member and his wife's foundation, Mr. and Mrs. Campbell, we secured the first 3 units of those 13 already, and they're actually working for working residents in the community. The second phase is an application that we presented to the Beaufort Jasper Housing Trust, which you all have supported, and that would allow us to purchase 42 units across Beaufort and Jasper County. And then we have another model that we can purchase and expand across Beaufort County, which essentially will allow us to purchase 25 units at a time at the pace of about 1 a week, utilizing those altruistic investments along with community partners. And as we grow the balance sheet, and similar to the model that the Greenville Housing Fund was able to take as they're 15 years ahead of us at this point, we see larger capital options being available for new development opportunities or redevelopment opportunities as we grow our balance sheet. This is a little snip of the Excel sheet where we pull the MLS listings from areas or properties that are already for sale on the market. This is a detail of the 13 units that we're pursuing on Hilton Head Island. Over 600 units changed hands last year between $200,000 and $300,000 on the island. So there's plenty of available inventory already turning. And 13 is certainly not going to bend the cost too far in terms of the market. But we've done the same thing in assessing properties across Beaufort County and can easily put together 50 units at a time to start securing for long-term workforce housing. We've enlisted the help of financiers who are members of the board that have fleshed out the model, which essentially allows us to capture the rents, still hit the affordability metrics that we have to, and then still be cash flow positive on a year-to-year basis while returning the debt of 5 or 6% on the mortgages that we have in place from the banks, as well as 3% on the altruistic investment. And then, of course, any grants and donations just bend that curve and make it cheaper on the rental side. Each one of the models, and in this case, the 13-unit model for Hilton Head, has a list of sources of capital, and you can see that there. And you can see the $592,000 represented there is from community altruistic investment, including the Community Foundation of the Lowcountry there. So this phased approach, when it comes to working with the county council, we believe if we target a $15 million budget for acquisition, we could take down 50 homes. And we would request 20% of that through municipal dollars, meaning we would find on the nonprofit side $4 to every $1 that comes through public funding. So what we've accomplished to date, fortunately, we were able to get a matching grant from the Community Foundation of the Lowcountry of $100,000 as we secured it in our own $125,000 in donations. That gets us up and running for the first year of administrative expenses. As I stated before, the first 3 units have been purchased. 2 of them were 2-bedroom units at Wood Lake on Hilton Head, and 1 was a 1-bedroom unit on Marshside. In the first two instances, we already had workers living in those apartments, and when they went on the market, we were able to preserve them for those workers in the long term. In the last one, the one-bedroom unit at Marshside, there was a person that was moving out of town, and it went up on the market. We were able to purchase it, and we were able to move a worker who works for a local law firm that was living at the temporary stay housing in Bluffton, one of the converted hotels, is now living in a one-bedroom on Hilton Head. And I would like to share this testimonial video that really shows how we welcome Madison as a tenant. Thank you.
I moved down here from Columbia, South Carolina about a year and a half ago. I work on the island at one of the local law firms. I'm a paralegal and wanting to pursue my education and get my law degree eventually and become an attorney. There was nothing available at the time. Moved into the only thing that I found, which was out in Bluffton. And rent was just very expensive to be in a studio apartment.
A lot of employers on the island need qualified, young, energetic people, and they're not moving to Hilton Head because they can't afford it. They're moving off island, they're moving further away.
Bluffton's, just at the other side of the bridge. However, everyone's coming onto the island and leaving the island at the exact same time every day. So it could be an hour to 2 hour commute every morning.
So when you start figuring out how much time you're spending coming back and forth, you're not going to make that decision for 5 minute drive. So this is a way to bring some of those people back and to help the business community thrive. Come on inside, Madison. I want you to see this. Well, Madison's a brand new unit for us. It's 1 bedroom, 1 bath. It's not overly big. It's about 800 square feet. Madison qualified financially, and she's the quintessential candidate we're looking for.
That's really nice. It's a great space. There's a walk-in closet, newer furnishings in both the living room with the built-in bookshelves, and then appliances in the kitchen. It's just a great space to live in. Nice to meet you. I'm Madison. I'm your new neighbor. Welcome to the neighborhood. Thank you.
It's very exciting. These guys are trying to put together 40, 50 units, and they're trying to make it where the employee can afford to live on Hilton Head and work on Hilton Head.
I'm going to be paying just the flat $1,600 a month, and I'm much closer to work, so gas I'll be saving on, time I'll be saving on. Time is more valuable than anything in the world. Being able to be a part of this program is saving me so much money. That way I am able to continue to work and not have to leave Hilton Head. I can stay in this area, invest more in the community, get more involved in the community, and not have to pay $3,000, which is unfortunately is not affordable for young professionals like myself. So I'm excited to just get everything unpacked, get everything where it needs to go, and just start from this new beginning.
It's not the first video I've broken. I will be honest, I apologize for that. Oh, yeah. Okay, no problem. Any chance of getting to the last slide, or is it totally frozen? I'm not pulling that. That's being pulled from my. Okay. Great. Right there. That's good. Thank you. I'll take it from there. Great. Yeah, thank you. Great. All right. So where do we fit in from the county council level? We certainly appreciate a leadership role taken by the council in supporting the effort to find additional funding sources to help us on our mission. Recently, S-284 was passed with Senator Davis's leadership, which allow an allocation of ATAX funds towards housing purposes. We stand as a viable candidate to capitalize on that legislation. We certainly would benefit from bonding capacity, which the county holds immense resources. And then, of course, in the longer term, any land leasebacks that would allow for new development, we would appreciate. Our solution is an immediate solution, and we need some immediate solutions because we can get to work right away in securing housing. It really ties in well, as we said, with growth management. Our 99-year covenants proved that we wouldn't end up like Aspen in the 80s, who had a 25-year restriction, which then wore off and everybody sold their houses for a big gain. There's no workers living in them. So we've learned from the other markets in America. We will be able to prioritize home ownership. When people rent with us for a number of years, they'll be able to move into an ownership spot. And of course, if they earn out of those 150% AMI limits, that's a good problem, and they can be on the home ownership side. And lastly, it really is a community solution where we've already gathered the support of residents, altruistic support, businesses, and nonprofits, and we look forward to the municipalities and counties stepping up and joining us. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, I'll go around council. Is there any questions for Mr. Wolf?
I'd just like to thank him again. He was at Community Services
Yep.
and Land Use, and I think you have to hear something 3 times, as one of our attorneys says, before it sinks in. So this is
Wise for you.
number 2. It's the video was great at the other meeting. So.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just one thing.
Yes.
I want to thank you, Mr. Wolf and Mr. Campbell and all, and Lisa. I had the chance to meet with them and go over a few things, and I think your many approaches are a breath of fresh air for us. How do you manage through the earning out of AMI? You have a program in place that will watch and keep an eye on.
Yeah, as we have residents living with us, they'd be earning phantom equity towards down payment assistance. Our model really just plans for a 4% increase in property values, which is the 20-year historical average. So if the properties were to appreciate at a higher level, they'd still only have to purchase at that low 4% increase. So there's a benefit there as well between the purchase price and the equity value. But what would happen is they'd get a 3 to 5 year window to run out into a purchase opportunity, or to just go out and rent something else in the market or buy something else in the market. Certainly, that's a good problem.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, our pleasure. Thank you.
Very nice.
Sure.
Mr. Cunningham.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to applaud you guys on thinking outside the box.
Thank you.
There's so many times we have developers coming here just want to do apartments, or they want to say they want to do workforce housing or affordable housing, and they want to throw a 10 or 15-year covenant on it. You put a 99-year covenant on it, that's actually putting your money where your mouth is. So I respect that. And hopefully the developers take note of that, because this council's not wavering on it whatsoever. So I like the idea. I like you doing something outside the box instead of just doing it for an at profit or to push your own beneficial goal. Clearly, you're with Surge. You have tons of employees here in the county. I get that. I know the struggle you guys have with the exact same thing. So I appreciate you guys putting your money where your mouth is on that and actually taking a step forward and not kicking the can down the road to somebody else.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
quickly, I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Glover. No, go ahead. Mr. Glover, you go
Yeah,
next.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Mr. Wolf, I think we all appreciate, because this is mainly a major problem for Beaufort County, workforce housing, or people just having someplace to live that's close to their job. So my question, I guess, is the bigger picture. What do you see the impact of your organization? Are you looking at, sometime I can sit in the, a boat and just spit in the ocean, and it doesn't do anything. What do you see as a goal for major impact, and how can council, this community help you get there? Are you looking at maybe one or 2 houses a year, or you looking at 100
absolutely.
houses a year? Or,
Yeah, our goal would be, in the short term, is a 50 houses a year to get up and rolling and start to build the balance sheet a little bit. The Greenville Housing Fund, again, 15 years ahead of us, has 1,500 units under their management. So I would say that that's a bare minimum goal, but we believe that the model can sustain itself to support up to 500 units a year until the problem's solved. And when people are no longer applying for workforce leases, then we know that we can move on. But our goals are very high.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any others?
Tab was when I have a question, if I could, after, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
You can go first, we'll go in order.
You sure? Because I already ran my mouth once.
All right, I'll charge you double, go.
Like I said, I do like the out-of-the-box idea. One of my worries and question, and I'm sure you guys have thought about, is how is this going to impact the rest of the housing market? Because it does have the ability to potentially drive up the cost of the other houses on the market if there's less houses to bring down the costs available in that price range.
Yeah, we were very sensitive to that as we started putting this model together. And once we sourced those numbers, 600 units on Hilton had to transfer between $200,000 and $300,000 last year. We felt like that our impact would not be felt for some time. My initial concern was the opposite, was would we be lowering the property values? But yes, taking them out of the inventory would theoretically drive up the prices higher for the residents, which doesn't seem to be a bad problem necessarily for those that are individual property owners. but we believe that the scope of availability, especially as you start to look across the entire county and across Jasper County, there's a tremendous amount of inventory changing hands on a regular basis. So it would probably be 5 to 10 years before we get to that problem, but we are aware of it.
Thank you.
Quickly, Mr. Chairman, the 15 is inclusive of Beaufort and Jasper, or is just Beaufort?
The 15, well, what was the question?
50, I mean,
Oh, yeah,
I said
50.
15, I'm sorry, 50.
Oh, we're looking at each one of these models in a standalone. So if there was 50 units on Hilton Head, or 50 units in Beaufort, or 50 units across Jasper, they'd all be separate joint ventures. And each time we get the fundraising in line for one of those joint ventures, we move on to do the next one. So the example of the Beaufort Jasper Housing Trust, 42 units across Beaufort and Jasper is what we
Right.
presented.
Okay.
Now, Ms. Tabor.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I'd like to suggest that we put an agenda item at our next Public Facilities and Safety meeting, which Mr. Cunningham heads. I'd like us, now that we've seen it twice, some of us, and I get it, and we also have it in the pack, we'll get it. So I would like us to
It actually
discuss.
should be community service.
Oh, community service, fine. I'd like us to discuss how our acting administrator and our staff might be able to support us in finding opportunities for funding for the project. We know about ATAX money, and Mr. Kevin's talked about that and probably will again, but maybe our staff can help us find other funding opportunities so that we don't let this just go.
Mhm. Good.
Is that a motion?
No, it's not a
It's
motion.
just
Just a
suggestion.
agenda item.
Right, so
All right, got
when
it.
it comes to your agenda, it will be an agenda
Right.
item.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Very good presentation. Okay, we're now at our first citizen comments. Please be aware you have 3 minutes. Please be respectful and don't forget, in accordance with our Beaufort County rules and procedures, given of the speaker's time to another is not allowed. The one person who wishes to speak first is Mr. Hoagland. You want to speak on a topic
Thank you.
for an agenda item?
Yeah, I understand. Thank you very much. First of all, I want to just say real quick on the CCDC, it's illegal. It's heartfelt. It sounds worthy. It's illegal to use public money for private purposes. This will not fly. I'm sorry. My comment is on agenda item 17. And I'd like to know how much of all the budgets, the rollover appropriations, the capital improvement funds, which is up to 24 million, how much of all this has undergone a forensic audit? What does the law firm say that we've hired about the forensic audits coming because of the Greenway scandal? Where's all this headed? And again, I'm going to repeat, all of you like me are not CPAs. You have no forensic audit experience. And the days of just handing money, free money to do whatever you want, those days have got to end. So I would like to know when all of this money, everything, school district, the treasurer, you name it, when are these forensic audits going to happen, and what does the law firm say about all this? Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll close the citizen comment period. We'll now go to the liaison and committee reports. Are there any liaison or committee reports? Thank you for coming.
Chair, Mr. Chair?
Yes?
Alice and I went to keep Beaufort County beautiful last Thursday. And we want to try to get more businesses to use paper instead of the plastic bags. And the chairman, what's his name?
Chris Campbell.
Chris Campbell. He's going to go to the Isle of Palms and see exactly what they did to make that happen.
Mhm. Yes, we could do well by taking a look at what some other countries around the world are doing. For instance, Sweden is huge on getting rid of plastic. You cannot find a plastic bottle. Everything is a cardboard container, recyclable.
My husband and I were talking just the other day about how when we grew up as kids in Maryland and Virginia, everything was a glass and it had a deposit on it.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't do that anymore.
Yes. Okay, any others? Thank you for that report. Ms. Howard?
Also at that meeting, they've got a new recycle ad that's gonna be on at the gas
That's right.
station.
Yes, I forgot.
So
Oh, gas
when you
station
fill up
TV,
your
yes.
car,
Yes.
remind you
Yes.
to recycle. I went to the Stormwater Management Board meeting and that was on October 18th. They are looking at the every 5 years, we look at our cycle of our fees for stormwater. So it started in 2019, and so it's time to look at that again. They do not anticipate any increase, but we'll have to decide council will have to decide by February of 2024. And they might start using LiDAR for measuring the impervious areas instead of they're trying it both ways. So that we'll see how that works.
Very good. Thank you. Are you finished?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Ms. Tabernick?
So as the liaison to the school district, I was invited to May River High School for their freshman English class gallery walk. Now, all of you think back to your high school days when you had to make the trifold, for some project. So these young adults, were asked to research a topic of their choice and make a trifold, make a cover, and then explain to anybody that came, like I was out of the blue, they were like, wow, you're from county council? And they had to explain their project to me. So I just want to tell you some of the project. There had to be 150 children, the block I went to. There was gender equality, actually. And one of the young lady that did it said to me, why didn't your generation fix gender equality? And I said, well, I don't know the answer to that. There was immigration, saving the koala bears, math anxiety, which I can cherish, peer pressure, suicide. It just was a range of projects. And it was so great to see all these students involved in these projects. So I really enjoyed it. It was a good thing.
Thank you. Any others? Okay.
Chairman?
Go ahead, Mr. Dawson. I heard you once, Mr. Dawson.
He's on mute now.
Yeah, you're on mute.
Can you hear me?
Now
Yes.
I can.
All right. I just want to follow up that in our previous meeting with the Public Services and Committee meeting, we approved a contract for construction of work to be done on the south side pickleball court. And I just want to report that 2 weeks ago, we did a grand opening for a pickleball court. It's actually a construction of 2 brand new courts located at the Burton Wells Regional Park in Burton. So I just want to put that out there for the public notice.
Thank you. That's everyone? Okay, we're now at our public hearings and action items. First item is the approval of the consent agenda. May I have a motion and second for that?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Cunningham makes the motion.
I'll second that.
Ms. Brown makes the second. Duly motioned and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the consent agenda will be approved without objection, and there are no objections. Item number 14 is a public hearing and second reading of an ordinance authorizing the interim county administrator to execute any and all documents necessary to accept the right-of-way on Deanna's Drive. May I have a motion second so I can have the public hearing?
I'll move it.
Second.
Ms. Tabernack makes the motion, Mr. Glover makes the second. Is there anyone in the public who wishes to comment on this particular item? Seeing none, we'll close the public portion. Is there any comments from council? Seeing none, this item will be approved without objection, and there are no objections. Item 15 is a public hearing and second reading of an ordinance authorizing the interim county administrator to enter into a lease agreement for real property located at 3000 Road with Edison Ford Incorporated. May I have a motion and second on that, please? Mr. Glover?
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Reeds makes the motion,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Glover makes the second, duly motioned and seconded. Is there any member of the public who wishes to make a comment about this particular item? Seeing none, we'll close the public portion. Is there any comments from the council? Seeing none, this will be approved without objection, and there are no objections. Item 16 is a public hearing and second reading of an ordinance authorizing the interim county administrator to enter into a lease agreement for real property located at 39 Airport Circle with High Tide Aviation Scenic Tours. May I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Mr. Glover makes the motion, Mr. Reeds makes the second. Is there anyone in the public who wishes to comment about this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public portion. Is there any comments from council? Seeing none, this will be approved without objection, and there are no objections. Item number 17 is a first reading of an ordinance to amend the Beaufort County fiscal year 2024 budget ordinance to provide rollover appropriations in the amount of $3,432,760 from $68 from the Capital Improvement Fund, which is Fund 1040, for capital improvement projects approved but not completed in fiscal year 2023. May I have such a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Ms.
I'll second.
Tambernick and
I'll second.
Mr. Glover makes the second, duly motioned and seconded. Discussion by council. Seeing none, this will be approved without objection, and there are no objections. Item number 18 is the first reading of an ordinance adopting amendments to the Business and Professional Licenses Ordinance, Chapter 18, Article 3, Section 18-67AB, and Appendix A and B. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Howard makes the motion.
I'll second that.
Ms. Brown makes the second. Duly motioned and seconded. Any discussion by council members? Seeing none, this will be approved without objection, and there are no objections. Item number 19 is a first reading of an ordinance ratifying the salaries for various elected officials and to amend Section 2-347 of the Beaufort County Code of Laws establishing the salaries for various elected and appointed officials. May I have such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Ms.
I'll second
Tabernick makes the motion. Ms. Brown, you made the second?
Yes, sir.
Duly motioned and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Can I make a comment, please, Mr.
Yes.
Chair? I just want to remind the public who might be watching in the audience that it looks like we're just running through these, but as you've reminded them before, these have all been discussed sort of ad nauseum sometimes in committee. So we have discussed this, and it's not just we're ratifying everyone. We've gone through all these, so we're
Yes.
happy to put it forward today.
Any other comments? Seeing none, this will.
I'll make the comment to all that, what we're doing here, is really amending or making right what is currently being done, for
Correct.
salary. So we
Yes.
just somehow back in
19.
19.
The 2015 ordinance was asked to be updated in 2019. It was never done, but the salaries were adopted and carried through. Now what we are doing is we're rectifying that, going back to the 2015 ordinance, updating it as of 2019 so that the salaries move forward.
You said it better than I could. Thank you.
And also, Joe, that this is not for our elected officials'
No,
salaries. This
no.
is for the other elected officials in the county.
Correct.
So I think
This
it's-
is for the auditor and the coroner?
Coroner.
Auditor and coroner, their salaries are being adjusted because that's what county desired in 2019. The other elected officials, they have had their salaries
Right.
adjusted. Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, this will be approved without objection, and I see no objections. Item number 20 is approval of a resolution authorizing the interim county administrator to enter into a memorandum of agreement with the town of Port Royal for maintenance of the county-owned property known as Cherry Hill Park. May I have such a motion?
Second
Ms.
that.
Howard makes the motion.
Second
Ms.
that.
Brown makes the second. Duly motioned and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, this will be approved without objection, and there are no objections. Item number 21, approval of a resolution to approve recommendations to award fiscal year 24 Community Service Grant Program funds in the amount of $398,000 to the community services organizations. May I have such a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Lawson makes the motion, Mr. Cunningham makes the second, duly motioned and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, this will be approved without objection, and I see no objections.
Mr. Chairman, just if I remember correctly, this award is going to 26 various organizations in the community.
I believe that you are correct.
Yeah, and
Yes,
so.
and
you
they're
know,
all listed.
Yes, so I just want to make that statement, yeah.
Yes. Okay, before we go into executive session, we have our second comment period. We have individuals have signed up, and in accordance with Beaufort County's rules and procedures, giving a speaker's time to another is not allowed, and I know that that is going to be a concern. So, Mr. Hoagland, do you wish to speak?
That's a violation, and I'll explain that in a minute. I attended the first Finance Committee meeting a few weeks back. After this meeting and watching a number of people presenting for more tax funding, it just made me realize how bad and how much in hundreds of millions of dollars hard-earned tax money over the last 50 years is unaccounted for and disappeared into thin air. The perfect example was renewing membership in the Southern Carolina Regional Development Alliance. It's a tax scheme, scam, call it whatever you want. $500,000 for this, $120,000 for Southern California, Carolina, excuse me. $375,000 for Beaufort County Economic Development Corporation. Let them provide all the accounting to the forensic auditor and proven performance metrics. They more than likely will walk away and close the door. All the speakers presenting had it rehearsed very well. What they forgot is the days of handing millions to them, $350 million to the school district. God only knows how much to nice personality treasurer Maria Wall, who just sued you so she could hide what she's doing with her millions, the chambers, and the long list of hundreds of expenditures, including weighted blankets. We will now need full accounting on how every penny is used and spent with invoices and matching receipts. The good old free tax money days with no accounting, those days have got to end. Because everyone in this council, again, like me, are not CPAs and have no forensic audit background or knowledge. Forensic audits are the only way forward. So it's a Reagan principle. I trust you, but we got to see it verified. First, to clean the slate, no one gets funded nor retains their jobs unless they fully comply to a forensic audit. This includes all insider prepared budgets and year-end audits, and I contend they're all fraudulent and riddled with secrecy and only show the numbers the insider employees, lawyers, and CPAs want you to see. Next, and ongoing into the future, perhaps most effective and costly system is form a forensic audit committee called a FACT. Forensic Audit Committee fully explained and how to do this in a study I handed you several months back. The first task of this committee will be to meet with senior town staff, all offices, lawyers, CPAs, to ask questions of each employee, determine quickly and easily if their policies and practices are protecting and accounting for all the funds to assure they are free from the ravages of political and actual corruption. Again, the first step to clean the slate, and only one way forward, is forensic audits. A cookie-cutter financial audit does not accomplish this, and it has to be by forensic auditors, not just CPAs that have no forensic audit experience. And I again suggest that these CPAs and forensic auditors are made up of former FBI agents with a criminal background experience. If you don't do that, you're going to be failing us, and if you vote any other way, it's going to be a problem. Thank you very much.
Is there a Don Timms here? Mr. Timms?
Thank you. First, I wanted to mention the proclamation for Penn Center. That's definitely a worthwhile place. If you have not been to Penn Center, public too, by all means, go, take the tour, learn a little bit about the area. It's a great tour. Secondly, my son's a Marine, my grandson's a Marine. I have a grandson and a granddaughter that are in Young Marines. It's a very worthwhile organization. They do excellent work. We need to close the border south to prevent the drugs from coming in, but they are really growing our youth the way they should be. And then finally, I want to say, I believe that we need audits. If you don't inspect, you can't direct. So you need to get off it and get the audits going, forensic audits, not something that you have your own CPAs do. It just makes sense to me.
Thank you. Okay, unfortunately, we have Lynn who wants to turn over her time to Mr. Hoagland, which will be in violation of our rules and regulations. I cannot permit that by our own rules and regulations, for which you obviously understand, Mr. Hoagland, that you follow rules and regulations. So I'm sorry, I cannot.
I'm sorry, you're being violating the POA, which is a legal document and overpowers any local rule. If there's lawyers would like to provide me a law where a local rule says I can't use my POA, I'm happy to comply. I don't believe that law exists, and my lawyers don't believe it exists, and we're taking it to the Supreme Court. So I think what I suggest is let me finish my 3-minute speech, and then you give me a citation. And instead of you being, wait a minute, Mr. Pat, let me finish. Instead of you being the judge and the jury and the executioner, whatever, I think the proper way to do this would be, all right, Mr. Hoagland, if you're, like they do in Hilton Head, if you're going to proceed with this 3 minutes from Ms. Greeley, we're going to give you a $1,000 citation, and we're going to let the judge and the courts decide.
No.
And that's how it's going to play out.
No.
So
Okay,
I'm going to go ahead and make this,
Ask a member of council.
you're violating Ms. Greeley's POA.
I'm fine.
You know, a POA, it's interesting, Mr. Passman, you could give me a POA to pull the plug on your deathbed. You could also give me a POA to run your bank account over your wife. You don't think Ms. Greeley can give me her 3 minutes? You really can't believe that. The lawyers can't really believe that. Do you believe that, Mr. Kevaney?
Okay, could I
Mr.
have a
Kevaney, you're the
motion
lawyer,
for
he's not a
executive
lawyer,
session?
you're the lawyer. What does the law say, Mr.
Mr.
Kevaney?
Cunningham made the motion.
Second.
What
Mr.
does the
Glover
law
made the
say?
second, duly motioned and seconded for our executive
Mr. Holbert,
session.
you're
Okay.
lawyers, the town lawyers are supposed to
Okay,
call
pursuant
this.
to South Carolina Code of Law.
Okay, so
Section
I'm going to go ahead and continue.
30-478-2,
Mr. Passman,
discussion of contractual
based on your
arrangements
legal
and
vote
other
to approve the issue and
matters
use of
covered
tax
by
funds,
attorney-client
your
privilege.
disrespect to
We're gonna
professional
have
citizens
inquiries,
who give their time to come and help
about
this council make the right decisions,
Okay.
your uncontrollable
We are-
temper tantrums, your attempts to intimidate citizens as
We
well
are
as
in executive session.
fellow council members, you are not fit to serve as chairman. Is everybody going to sit here and listen to my speech, or are you going to follow Passman off the dais?
Just called executive session.
All right, we are back from executive session. Item number 24 is matters arising out of executive session. While there is no specific item that will be acted upon, those of you who are following us online or in the audience, we did talk to the firm that is conducting the investigations. They are working on a variety of items. Hopefully, they will have some suggested changes due to the findings they have in certain areas. They hope to bring that to us at the November 13th County Council meeting. They will meet with us in executive session. There may well be matters rising out of executive session at that time. There being no further action with this county council, this meeting is now adjourned.
Don't say, Blair. Good seeing you again.